So today I'm going to share with you the story of a series that I created in 2011 called Arteries. And I titled the series Arteries because it was a journey of me trying to find the heart of the city of Los Angeles back in 2011. So in 2011, I was dating a guy who I was absolutely head over heels for. And I saw a future for him. I was daydreaming all of the things that all of us women do when we're starting to fall for someone. And as time went on, it was becoming more and more clear that it was more me that was having the daydreams than him. As I was wanting a relationship to become more serious, he was wanting the relationship to become more casual. It was one of those situations. So it ended up becoming clear after about 4.5 years of on and off that this was not going to be going anywhere serious. And I was so devastated and brokenhearted that I was doing a number of things to try and heal my broken heart. I ran a marathon. I was doing different art classes and everything that I could to try and soothe what felt like one of the most excruciating things that I had experienced. Like, I remember feeling like, wow, you actually can die from a broken heart. I was not only emotionally in pain, I was physically feeling anguish from this heartbreak. So for some reason, it got in my head that the best way that I could try and reconcile my heartbreak was to get in a helicopter and photograph the city of Los Angeles. I was just so distraught, feeling like, where is the heart in this city? I had dated other men who wanted it to be casual. This guy wanted it to be casual. The culture that I was living in was just all about prioritizing work over relationships. And I was young enough to not really understand, which I now understand now that I'm older, that anytime you move to a larger city, you're primarily going to be surrounded by people that are prioritizing their career over relationships. And that was really what was happening. One of the images from the series, this one that I photographed, I feel like is emblematic of Gen X, because I'm Gen X and the gentlemen that I dated were Gen X. And in that time period, everything that was being fed to us culturally was condoning and celebrating casual relationships. So there was Mad Men, which was a huge show at the time. There was Sex and the City, which was a huge show at the time. One of the biggest books that was out at the time was called Why Women Love Assholes. And so the men that I were dating at the time were all, or the men that I was dating at the time were all kind of products of the cultural narrative that was being fed to the public, in addition to them wanting to chase their careers. So yeah, so I went into the helicopter, and I unfortunately was not doing YouTube at the time, so I have no video of this, but I have a few photos. And this tiny little helicopter, they took the door off of the helicopter so that I could photograph the images without the extra pane of glass on it to get really clear images. And we flew between 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet, and I think we went near 5,000 feet for some of them, just flying all around the city. And I really visually wanted to try to understand where the heart of the city was. And what became clear to me was that what I was experiencing culturally and in dating was visually what I was seeing in front of me. And it was tons and tons of streets showing fast-paced, rushing people, kind of, going from one section of the city to another, with no central hub or heart. Like, the whole entire city spread out. And so we have downtown Los Angeles, and then we have Culver City, and then we have West Hollywood, but there's no central area. And I started seeing that everything that I was experiencing in my social life and my dating life represented the geographic layout of the city, and everything that I was seeing also looked not just in the geographic layout, but in the things that I was seeing. So the most prominent thing when you look down at the city of Los Angeles is freeways. You know, the buildings are secondary to the freeways, and so it kind of represented the men that I was dating were focusing on where they were going in their career, as opposed to wanting stability and planting roots and, you know, having one central place. So it was a very interesting series because I was trying to zoom out and understand what I was experiencing, and it visually showed me that everything I was seeing in front of me when I got up high and looked from a bird's eye view on Los Angeles was a direct correlation of my dating experience. Many years later, I looked at the series again, and what I found to be the most interesting, and one of the reasons I decided to share this story, is because I look at all of the photos and you can see that there's cities, buildings, and there's freeways, and everything's toned blue, and it kind of all melds into like a blue tone, you know, geometrically shaped image to some degree. But of all the images in the series, there's one message that stands out clearly, and it's so right there. And I went through other images too, not just the ones that I selected, to see if there were any other messages, because remember, I went, you know, up to 5,000 feet to look down on this city and understand why I was experiencing what I was experiencing. And looking back on it years later, here is the message. Do you see it? It's Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And it's the only message out of all of the images that is right there in front of my face. And I photographed this in 2011, so that was back when the best camera was the Canon 5D, not the Mark II, not the Mark III, not the Mark IV, or the R5. It was the very beginning of digital cameras. So it's not super crisp, the words, but it is the only message that has text on it that is large and able to be read when you look at all of the images. So I found it to be incredibly profound that I flew up to 5,000 feet in the air with the door off to try and find a message as to why I was experiencing what I was experiencing. And it could not possibly be more clear that there, right in front of my face, Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. So that's why I decided to share this story, is because I thought that it is a beautiful full circle series where I come back to it a decade later and there it is right in front of me. So they say that the teacher will appear when you're ready for the message, and I feel like that's what has happened. Is from the time of that heartbreak, I really have gone on a journey of self-discovery. I've connected with God and have that as the most important relationship in my life. So I went from trying to find my emotional home with another human man and found my own emotional home within myself and within God. So that is my story of Arteries. Oh, and also the reason it's blue is I did kind of a blue tone on it because I was feeling like the city was cold. It felt very cold at the time and all I wanted was a big warm hug. So yeah, that is my series Arteries. I hope you enjoyed the story, and if it's an image that you like, this one image I do have on my website. It's an edition of 25 and there are 20 left, so 5 are already gone. But yeah, that's my story, and I hope I'll see you on the next video.